Hello everybody and welcome to part 18 or so of my Fire Emblem 6 hard mode chapter guide. Today we're going to be looking at chapter 14X, which is the second, I believe, Gaiden chapter. Now I mentioned in the first Gaiden chapter that most of the Gaiden chapters in this game are pretty tedious, I would say. They usually have a little thing going on, and they're pretty slow in plotting, and this is absolutely one of probably the most slow and plotting of them. So if you've ever played Fire Emblem 7, the sort of gimmick of this chapter is very similar to the Gaiden chapter after where you recruit Jafar and Nino. These land tiles are basically going to kind of go away periodically, and it's going to just be water. And if you ever played that chapter, it's pretty annoying. So, honestly, my biggest suggestion with this chapter, and a lot of these Gaiden chapters I think kind of have this going on, is just to play slow. There's not actually a lot of difficulty to this chapter if you know what to avoid. So basically, the boss has bolting. This guy also has bolting. Now, obviously, the boss won't move. This guy also won't move. So the boltings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, only extend to here, and then the other guy will be like here or whatever. So as long as you kind of stay back and take the initial wave of enemies, you can bait out the boltings later. So my recommendation for this chapter, it is pretty boring, but is to basically stay in the spawn. These pirates and berserkers and stuff, along with these pirates, and I think these pirates will come and attack you. Basically deal with them. When you're done with them or when you're ready, then slowly bait out the boltings from both these enemies so you don't have to deal with them. And then the rest of this chapter is pretty simple. There are basically the non-pirates, like these archers and mercenaries, won't move. And you can just sort of slowly deal with them and then eventually defeat the boss. Now, obviously, there are other strategies to this chapter, but the problem is if you approach it too quickly, you're going to have to deal with the enemies that come attack you. Because they got a devil axe, for example, and the double bolting from the boss and the sage. There is one more siege tome, but we've already talked about just how bad Eclipse is, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. There's also a bunch of physic going on. This guy's got it. This guy's got it, and a shit ton of magic. So just be a little bit careful with that. But this is actually a pretty good opportunity to like train units and stuff. But yeah, as I said, this chapter is pretty straightforward. I'm not going to talk about it too much. For the most part, as I said, just stay back and deal with the enemies that are going to charge at you, and then we're going to bait out the bolting slowly. So as far as the preps are concerned, there's really nothing specific here. This is a pretty slow chapter, so I think this is a pretty good opportunity to potentially train some of your weaker units. Our Tate is about to promote, so I'll probably try to get her promoted here. I don't really have anybody else I'm training too much, but if you're, like, let's say you wanted to train Ray, this is a pretty good opportunity to train, like, Sophia if you want to train her for some reason, or whoever, so yeah, but you don't need anything too specific from the preps. There's no status stabs or anything like that here, so yeah, just bring your strongest units. Okay, so I'll just show a little bit of how kind of the chapter starts at least. Basically, the left and the right part of this path will go away, and then I believe this starts going away, and then I think once these two are gone, these will start going away. But the point is, this chapter, as I said, is pretty tedious. You can use flyers. Melody's resistance isn't the best. Hypothetically, you can barrier her and go nuts, but it's a lot safer to just do this. As you can see, a lot of pirates are already attacking us, so yeah, this is why I like to take this strategy, and I do think it's the safest way to approach this. Okay, and as you can see, it is turn 6, I believe, and this path is gone. I believe this path is about to leave, so this is another reason that I think this is the best strategy. Obviously, as I said, flyers are quite useful, but if Rucker is, like, say here, he's not going to be able to move, and you may have to, like, spam Physic or something to prevent the bolting from just killing him. As I said, this chapter is just pretty tedious, so... but yeah, as I said, I think this is the best strategy to take. Do be careful of this guy. Obviously, the Devil Axe is incredibly strong, and... it can backfire, but it can also just murder you. It could even kill our Melody, so I'm going to be backing up here, but yeah. Okay, and I guess I'll just clarify a little bit about what I mean by baiting out the boltings. It's basically just, and this is going to be pretty useful for a few different chapters from here on out, which is just basically putting a unit in the range. Bolting has 10 range, for anyone who doesn't know, and as I said, these two units don't move. So if you count out, and that's what I was doing at the beginning, it's pretty easy to figure out their maximum range. And just kind of bait it out. This guy's 22 magic bolting, and this is 19 magic bolting. Magic does not affect range, so just be aware that it's always 10. But it does mean that these are really strong. I mean, this is 34 damage bolting, which is not easy. Lou's only taking them pretty well because I barriered him, but Yeah, and probably only have units take one at a time, although we can potentially do two, because they don't overlap in every situation. But yeah, just be aware of that. It's the best way is just to bait out the bolting. Oh yeah, so I just had a slight problem with my the way that I'm recording, and it kind of messed up me seizing with Roy. But just be aware that I did seize with Roy. This is the next chapter. So yeah, like I said, I did go by that pretty fast because I think that chapter is pretty straightforward. If anyone has any like specific questions, I'm always happy to answer those. But there really isn't just a ton. There really just really isn't. Sorry, a ton to that chapter. Again, I think the safest way is to just bait out the bolting and then finish it. Uh, Slowly working your way through it. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed as always, and I'll see you next time.